noticing it before, and noticed it fairly seriously on this trip. First, when it became most noticeable was when the weather was worse and it overpowered the autopilot.
It's interesting. This thing tends to be right wing heavy right now. Maybe if we flew it in heavy rain, it would level out.
There you go.
No, it's. I've seen some weird things with ailerons. I've seen for no good reason at all. We had two airplanes at the same time. We could do it. If you forced it with a yoke, brought everything level, just like this one set now, pretty straight and level. Let go of the yoke. That yoke would jump over, ailerons would deflect, and the airplane would turn. And that's where it naturally wanted to fly. And you'd have to force it, pull it back to everything level. Of course, if you bent the tabs and everything to do that, then you know, built in a lot of drag. We had a Cheetah and a 73 Traveler. Both of them were doing it at the same time. We were switching ailerons around, and other parts were changing. Tried changing wingtips, and that's what 3 inches full inboard on one wing and the other. And so we changed that. That straightened the one out. But the weird thing was, that was on the Cheetah. Or excuse me, that was on the Traveler. On the Cheetah, they were in the correct like this. We started tweaking, ripping the daggum hair out, trying to figure these things out. And no good reason for it to be.
So is this guy going to end up having strength on this airplane when he's done?
He'll have to get it out. Then I expect him to start sticking the front to the flight.
Door all the way, and so the tail got bounced forward.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd appreciate that. Well, he might.
Out flying right now.
How many people here?
Ouch. Funny. This has always, in the past, historically, always been
The last
big
time
one.
we came in here, you know, we got in here just before dark.
The popular one wasn't available.
Well, if you want to go, you know.
Okay, partner.
I'm just saying, if you don't want to miss any more of it.
That landing.
Now, you know
Yeah.
what? What did that guy charge you to build that exhaust?
It about $1,500. What happened?
If he still got the pattern and everything, we certainly could do the cost of a good one.
Yeah. In fact, I honestly did.
And you know, it was fun to be able to make a low pitch and everything, you know, with the fuel that sucker was drinking. I've tested these cowlings, and you've got a bit of a vacuum going on there, and you know, he's having to suck air. Walked in there and looked at that and I said, got that in the wrong place. And of course, that's where good ram effect. And do that on like the airplane we're flying here at the 180 conversion with the Cheetah. nose bowl and blow and work out the airbox and everything on it. And, but I don't think we're getting the manifold pressure we should getting. And, so I'm going to try something better.
Spot weld works. Yeah, filled all the spot welds up here. Oh.
With them. And what it does basically, they have little microphones in each of the ear cups, and the microphone hears the frequencies and it puts out, it then transmits, there's a little transmitter that transmits a sine wave that is exactly the opposite of the frequency and cancels it out. It works only on low frequencies. But what it does, therefore, is cancel out all that rumble, that low noise. Where? It varies. The David Clarks are the...
But they don't have like a PMA for just general changeover to the field. And so that's what we're working on.
Okay, you about ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Got some stuff here to show us, tell us about,
I need that.
bring us up to date.
I got plenty
And
more.
I want to ask you one question, when starting out here. Is this, you've always said to use flaps for takeoff. We had an article recently in the Star, and you've got a short strip. What do you think about the flaps versus no flaps for takeoff?
Absolutely.
Absolutely what?
Absolutely.
Which way?
Absolutely.
Which way? Why
Use
this
them.
article? I think my neck has been saved by you.
The,
Unless you get an amendment to the files operating manual.
all that is a recommendation. Now, I'll tell you the reason that it doesn't call out for it, as it was explained to me by one of the guys that was involved in certification of the original airplanes, is, okay, let's take the original Yankee. There is a minimum climb gradient that the aircraft must meet in relation to the stall speed. It has to be done all the way up to whatever got-off altitude in takeoff configuration. Now this is one of the stupid things about the FAA rules. The Yankee, if you put down a third flaps, will take off shorter, but it won't climb as good once you're out of ground effect. Therefore it won't meet the climb gradient, so they had to say take off with no flaps.
You can only retrieve it off the ground over the nose, pick up your speed, and then you go.
Well, yeah, but the thing where the flaps are important is, especially on a short field or soft field, is you need to get the airplane lighter so you remove drag off the wheels. It'll help there too.
One thing about the flaps, I've been in search and rescue for years, and they tell you if you get in, say, a box canyon, which you're not supposed to get, and not supposed to search going up canyon anyway, you come down, that they say, if you get into a tight turn, you have to tight turn it. You know, you can stall as your speed drops off pretty bad on this tight turn. It's always lower flaps, and it lowers your stall speed, so you can get a tighter turn.
Yeah, the people talk about the flaps on our two-place airplanes being ineffective. I think they're very effective. Now, they're not harmful. They don't feel like you dropped a drag chute, but they make the airplane much more stable at low speeds and maneuvering. I'm talking about even anything under 100 miles an hour, and especially the two-place. If you put down some flaps, or even put them all down, that airplane is a lot solider when you're in your tight turns, like in pattern and everything, and so I recommend using them.
I'll tell you something else that I noticed with flat cells. If you go up as high as the airplane will go, the absolute maximum, just sits there, just won't go any higher. They put some flaps down, but then another 1,000 to 2,000 feet out of it. We've got to tell you something.
I'll tell you another thing. Now this works on the Yankee primarily. It works to a certain extent on the other two places. On the Yankee, if you have an indicated airspeed of less than 110 miles per hour, if you'll drop just about that much flap, just tap the button, you'll get that tail up a little bit, and it will make. It doesn't make much difference in speed either way, but it'll make about a half gallon per hour difference in your fuel consumption.
Less than the drag.
On a stock Yankee. Well, what it is, the Yankee with that laminar airfoil, at less than 110, it's mushing. And you hop it up a little bit, and it makes a difference in your fuel consumption. You can actually throttle back a little bit and go the same speed. Now, if you put the throttle in, it's probably not going to go any faster. But it's one of those weird things. But 110 is indicated as the magic number on a Yankee. And that's not so true on the other airfoil. And it'll kill you on a Cheetah for dropping Cheetah or Traveler, dropping a little bit of flaps. As far as speed, it'll really drop you down. Brought a few goodies with me here to show around. This is a half a nose wheel in case you don't recognize it. I'm going to pass this around. We got this neat gadget in our shop. I don't know how in the world we ever lived without it. Is. And this one wasn't so bad out in here. A lot of them will get fitted right in here. That's where it's really critical. And around here, that just pass it around. That's
better than mine.
Well, I tell you, we've been going through a lot of nose wheels since we got the feed blaster, because you can clean those things up all you want to, and you won't notice how deep the corrosion's eaten until you blast it all out. And that's like filiform corrosion. Runs like little worms.
You see, it's so corroded, it's very hard to get the ride of the wheel off. I mean, the tire off.
Yep.
That's what happens when you live close to the coast.
Another little gadget to pass around for show and tell. Compare it with these. This is a kit that's referred to in here. There's a little article on it in this flyer that everybody got. We mailed out a few months ago. And one of the products in there on the Tiger and Cougar air boxes. They're supposed to have these end plates, these screws through them on each side of that big round filter cage in there. And most of the airplanes that we see cut in, those haven't been available for years. We've resorted to having them made. And they're made out of twice as thick material as the original, and they're spun instead of stamped. So they don't do like this one did. This is an old one. And most of the reason they're not in there is because this is the way they got to looking. And obviously pieces of it are leaving and going through the engine, so the lesser of two evils to take it out and throw it away. And it was actually a service kit in '77, I think it was, that came out to retrofit earlier airplanes to those. So anyway, that's any of you that are flying Tigers. If your airbox inside doesn't have a set like this with good seal material around it, on each side of it, stuffed up in there, screwed together with a couple of long screws like these, or if they're in that kind of condition, call me. We got them. And we've gone through a lot of those. Real quickly here, another thing referred to in our, so you just cut a little bit on the outside. All the wingtips are different. No two wingtips are identical. So it's impossible to make a fixture and pre-drill them.
Ken, do you bring your deck with you? Look on the screen there behind you.
Yeah, I just said for a long time.
Gee, I ain't seen something look like that since I was a boy.
He's listening.
But anyway, these are made out of the Butarex material. They're very flexible. They're not so subject to cracking during installation or later on. They hold up somewhat better in UV than the Lexan and the plexiglass, which are the other ones available. The nicest thing about them is that they dent. If you bang them into like a hanger or something, you'll dent that sucker and it won't shatter.
You can pop it off.
Well, the dent will probably stay there. I mean, you can see where it was, but you're not going to shatter the thing and not be able to go fly. And also, we did a lot of work on the mold to get it to where they actually do fit the contour of the wing, which is something the old ones didn't. All of the AGAC Tigers from serial number 54 on have got our nap covers on them. And I brought a few extra sets of these with me, and Bob wanted me to bring some down. And so I got them back at the room.
How much are those, Jim?
$48.95 for the pair. And
They do not fit the Yankee, is that correct?
with great grief, agony, wailing, and gnashing of teeth, and a heat gun.
They have a heat gun.
Yeah, if I could conceive that we could amortize $1,000 molds in selling Yankee nav lenses, which I haven't been able to come close to yet, we would make one. I may anyway, just, you know, I may try making one myself, see how it works out. And, okay. It's made out of, I couldn't name the material. It's some type of a high heat epoxy that they make them out of. That mold gets up to about 600 degrees, I understand, when they're forming. And same way with the same type of materials used in battery box mold. And now these are almost an identical copy of the original Grumman one. It's the same exact material. They fit a little bit better to each other. And one of the things different here, instead of having a tube shoved up inside and expect it to stay with some bonding, we had to mold a little tit sticker down under and drill a hole in the bottom, and then this tube slides up on it. It's super glued on. And
Does the top cover still
It's a band?
keep deformation?
it's going to do that. There's, you know, unless you made them out of metal, they're going to do that. The trick is you don't have to hog those wing nuts down until the thing goes like that. You know, there's no need. I mean, when that is closed, it's as closed as it's going to get. And all you're going to accomplish by keeping on and tightening it down is distorting the plastic and mash it down probably to where your vent on the battery caps won't vent. And as soon as that sucker gets good and heat soaked with the engine heat, it's going to remain that way. These are heat-formed plastic. I forget the specs on this stuff, but it's some kind of virgin something or other. And but they work quite well. These have been a real popular item. Another thing I brought a few down with, we got a real good buy on a bunch of the genuine old 6630 brake pads.
The asbestos ones?
Yes.
All right. Okay, you're going to sell some of those today.
It was interesting. My partner, Don, some of you know him. He's quite a character. But he could convince people of most anything. And we call him the vacuum cleaner when he goes someplace and buys. I mean, he comes back with everything. You know, he'll bring the rugs off the floor if he can. But we were trying to do a deal with AGAC last fall when they were on their lips real good. And we were actually trying to strike a deal with them if they were absolutely not going to support the old airplanes. We offered to on contract. Let us have access to the tooling. We'll get the parts made. We had the backing to put the money into it, to get the inventory up, take care of all the customer service and everything, and just pay them a percentage. And almost flew, but they were scratching so hard trying to find money that apparently in an attempt to get an SBA loan or that type of thing, they had everything tremendously overvalued hot to the hilt on their financial statement. So never did get the deal together, but while he was down there on that trip, they had a whole passel of those brakes back there that they couldn't use on new production. And they didn't think they could legally sell them as the OEM. It's still a kind of a toss-up whether they, as the original equipment manufacturer, could sell something that is Well, it hadn't been outlawed, but it's been upgraded by, you know, the EPA's involved in it. So,
The manufacturer's outlawed, not their use.
yeah, right. But since they were of his opinion, Don wasn't going to argue with him. He said, well, I'll tell you what, so I'll make you a deal, I'll take those off your hands. So we've got a good supply to last for a while. I forget how many hundreds of them he bought. There's quite a few we've got in stock. So, but they were also listed in our flyer in there. The bearings, torque tube bearings, support bearings, I brought a good selection of all those. The sleeves, the oversized sleeves, for those of you who don't know what they are, this is a standard, this is an elevator torque tube, but it's the same size. And you get this wear, you see where this was polished right there. It's not really wore down very much, but that's where the bearing normally rides. Well, those things wear down, and you got a maximum of 30 thousandths wall reduction, which frankly, if you got over 5 thousandths wall reduction, you got a lot of rattle. 30 thousandths I really couldn't conceive of, but I have seen them. You know, I can't conceive somebody, you know, sign it off, it's 29 thousandths and call it legal. But the factory had a kit, SK121 if I recall, had these little stainless steel sleeves. Well, they slide right over into the position on that, put Loctite 290 around them, bonds them into position, and then they took a bearing. I don't know how many of you can see this, the same outside diameter, but a lot thinner. Okay, that goes into your standard support bracket and slides neatly over the sleeve. Okay, I guarantee you, you're not going to wear out that stainless sleeve. You will have very little wear on the bearing because what wears it is you start getting the aluminum powder mixed in with lubricants and dust and grit and all this type of stuff, and it just starts to get like a grinder in there.
And it turns in the mount, perhaps.
Yeah, it grinds on this, and they'll also start eroding out the bracket.
Yeah.
So these pop in, and as long as you keep them lubricated with Teflon spray, you know, they last an awful long time. And so anyway, that's what we refer to in our flyer as an oversized bushing kit. That's, you know, 1 point. These are on the outboard ailerons of all the airplanes, the top and bottom rudder of all the airplanes, the elevators, outboard and inboard, on the two-place and on the traveler. Now there's another one that's you can't use the oversized sleeve on the traveler. It's inboard that's got traveler in one seat that's got a half bearing. Well, the stock two-place, the older two-place have 2 on each. The others have 4. And but anyway, that's the fix for them. Now again, the ones we were buying from Gulfstream, the condition of these things when we got them was absolutely horrid. I would say 3/4 of the ones we bought I sent back because they had deep grooves in them crosswise. It was like somebody had grooved the tube or something and then cut them out. And it was very inconsistent on diameters inside and outside. Some would fit, some wouldn't. They also had 2 sizes. They had this one, they had one that was a little bit thinner. These were to use on the bottom rudder only, or if you needed to cover more area, but they'll work at all places. So we had a machine shop tool up and make these for us. And these are all of the larger size. They'll fit anywhere. And there are some tricks for putting them on. And again, the quality control is 200 times plus what we were getting out of the factory.
Ken?
Yeah.
I did mine last weekend. I got the college Saturday and said how you hold them. I really appreciate this little piece of paper in there that said, use Loctite.
Yeah, I got to start doing that.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
Which Loctite, the
290.
that's the kind you get permanent.
Mm-hmm.
271 has a higher shear strength than 290. I use 271.
271 was the other one I couldn't think of.
Yeah, I use 271.
That's the kind that says you can't disassemble without heat.
It has about 60% higher shear strength than 290.
Yeah, these also you have to use heat to get them off.
Yeah.
But
There I was, I put my name in, I said, you know,
So this thing sort of moves. The airplanes, it's especially on tigers and cheetahs. How many have anti-synchronizing elevators? Or have had the problem? It's chronic. Where one elevator tip will be higher than the other, the elevator horns. What it is this is the inboard of the, okay, imagine the elevator going on out here, a hack's on it right there. You got a metal, a steel sleeve that goes over this, and you've got over it on the Tiger and Cheetah, inside it on the two places in the Traveler, and essentially you got a tube inside of a tube, and if you put any torque at all on this bolt, which is normally a 1/4 inch close tolerance AN bolt, you're going to egg shape it. So you don't have much torque. Well, with a little bit of wear, like I say, it's especially prevalent on the Tigers and Cheetahs because you got so much surface out there. These things start wearing in there, and it starts elongating that hole. The first thing you know, you hit turbulence. Whoa, my airplane's left wing heavy. Hit more turbulence. Whoa, now I'm right wing heavy. Or you go out and fly it, and you go out and you bend your tabs. The next time you go fly it, it goes the other direction. Problem is that elevator's shifting back there. Way to do it is you just have somebody hold a ferret on one side and go look at the other side. Okay, we discovered this problem back in '77 as being chronic. We did a couple, 3 field approvals, sent all the drawings and information to Grumman American, and tried to get them to come out with exactly what I got in my hand, and they never did bother. Well, finally, they said, the manual says to oversize to a 5/16 close tolerance bolt. Fine, do that. What happens then when it starts to waller? You're going to lose the control surface, or you're going to fix it. So we had one that was in that condition. So I drew up this thing, had a machine shop make up 4 of them, and you just simply slide it inside. The reason it's got the threaded hole in the end of it, so you can put a 1/4 bolt in to get it in. Okay, now you get the thing in position, all lined up, drop your close tolerance bolt through, get the thing in position, then you get down here and the instructions on this, and we're doing an STC on it. The instructions call out for a rivet pattern for countersunk cherry rivets in here. The same as on the aileron torque tube AD and service bulletin, where you had to, if they weren't bonded and riveted, you had to unjoin them and redo them. But anyway, then you get that in position, pull the thing back out, put some epoxy on the thing, shove it back in, line it up, pull the rivets. Once it's in, pull the bolt out, let the bonding cure, put it in. Now you got something you can torque against. I don't know the exact price these are going to come out. These little puppies on the prototypes cost me $42 a pop. You have them made, but once we get where somebody can set up with a machine, a computerized machine, to turn out a bunch of them, obviously the price will drop considerably on them. So, but even if they were $42 a piece, and you had them handmade at the machine shop each time you needed them, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than replacing an elevator. Powder-coated control yokes. This was one of the 2 prototypes was sent out because the guy that does the powder coating felt the magnesium might be damaged to the heat, but it did come out okay. So we've got enough of them on hand. We're going to get an exchange program going. We don't know the exact price yet because the more the merrier, but just a target price exchange on a pair of yokes is probably going to be like $85 if they've got holes drilled in them for push-to-talks, which we can drill them, and then we have powder coat, and that'll all go inside, so it seals them totally from corrosion. That'll probably be somewhere around, we'll say another $40 per yoke to drill the holes and have it all set up. That won't include the button. It takes me a good hour to drill all these suckers up. It's a slow process.
So it'd just be the yoke or the whole?
But the whole shaft, we just sell them exchange.
So you say $40 some per pair?
No, per. Probably just for powder coating, because we have to clean them, strip them, work with them like that. They may come out tomorrow, because I've got to
This is
just
on
put
the
up the
plastic?
thing. Huh?
Right over the plastic?
No, plastic is gone. We strip them, and then bead blast them. And then send them over there, and they etch them and everything, put them through the powder coat treatment, and then they come back and we have to little clean up stuff to do all that. Hadn't been cleaned up and see where some of them got on the shaft. And I've got to come up with some type of a slip tube to easily slide up over that and protect that tube rather than trying to mask it off, because it gets hot enough it turns masking tape and paper into powder.
Just put a tube
It's
on.
a wrinkle finish, but I kind of like it on the yolks. And that magnesium just corrodes like crazy on those things. And of course, it starts working out and everything, you know. Some of them we've had to reject the corrosion. It's just gone so deep that you can hit it with a hammer and probably bust the horn off. Okay, one more item. This is something we're working on at STC right now. This is the throttle and the mixture. This throttle, by the way, does not fit a Grumman. That's one we ordered by mistake. It's supposed to have been a vernier for Lowell's dad's Commander Lark. And now if we could put the engine out another foot and a half, it might fit. But anyway, the mixture control is suitable for installation on a two-place. That's the length. And they're made by a company in, these are actually built by a division in South Carolina. There's Cablecraft, Tellville Manufacturing in Tacoma. They build a lot of the push-pull controls for all your major airlines and military manufacturers. They've also built for Cessna and Piper and this type of thing, and built some for the home-built industry. But they weren't set up in PMA and STC for reapplication on field airplanes. So we did a few of them on field approvals, and they worked so well, we decided to go ahead and do an STC on them and work with them on getting the PMA. And the way these things are built, I've got some brochures over in the rooms that shows the inner construction of these things. I've been through their factory, and I ain't kidding you, this thing here is better made than anything on your airplane. It's the construction of that thing. You know what a flat wound guitar string looks like? Well, the inner member of this thing is a stranded cable, many of them, and then it's got a flat wound, like a guitar string around that's got Teflon embedded in it. And then it's got a Teflon inner member layer inside of the coiled sheathing, and then it's got more stainless steel coiled around on the outside of it, and then the shrink tube on it. And this thing, you know, will work double with no friction. And in their testing process down there, on their military and airline installations, they've got mock-ups to lay these cables out in all the bins and configuration that they're in, and they have to sit there, and there were so many cables, they cycle them like 10,000 times with the machine, and it registers the pressure. I mean, if there's a quarter ounce extra force required to move it, it'll pick it up and reject it. And but all of them are pre-tested, you know, in their natural state. But Tiger throttles are commonly, you know, stiff because of the angle that thing comes in at. You get a little wear going in that cable. All it is just, you know, a piece of cable running up in and down the sleeve, and you start wearing grooves inside of that thing, and you put the force on it, and then you get a little extra friction going on in your accelerator pump, and you need your foot to keep the throttle in. And but lots of times this would happen on brand new airplanes. You're dumping all kinds of lubricant down in there. These things are pre-lubricated and sealed.
So you had it for a mixture also? 'Cause that's just a mixture. Yeah, I know, but that's a different end.
Oh, we can get any end, whatever.
Because most of the mixtures are just a wire.
No more. Go to these threaded ends.
I went to one of those real thick wires, 7/64.
Yeah, but anyway.
Had a hell of a time bending it.
But anyway, on the two places that's got the AD note on the mixture, this STC will officially supersede that STC or that AD note.
Sure,
Ken, do you think there's anything you could do for me on my bird with that?
Yeah.
'Cause I do have a mixture control problem.
Yeah. I just need all the coordinates of it. And Now, the throttle, you notice how long this is compared to what you're used to looking at? Well, this little thing on here that screws down, I've got the thing pulled loose. I'm having to redesign this. This normally pops down on there because you install this in your airplane and it sticks out as far as your throttle. Law says your throttle has to stick out 1 inch further. That's why they extended this. Well, I told him, look, I don't want to force the guy to buy a throttle and a mixture. So why don't we go ahead, you don't need this thing on there. And what that is on there for, that just covers up this threaded part. They use that threaded part for a different type of friction lock on some controls so they can commonize manufacturing. So they're going to shorten this up a little bit in there and cut that off so that we'll have them both ways actually. And so a guy can put it on the two-place and not have to change his throttle also, although he probably should change his throttle. But we can get vernier throttles, standard, vernier mixtures, standard, whatever a guy wants. And
Already made up for a cheetah or a tiger.
right, that's why we'll be selling them in a kit. Now, on some of them, there's going to be different bracketry down here for capturing these ends things. Now, like this one's got the grooved in. This would fit right on a tiger the way it is. This one's got the threaded capture down here, which has a pair of nuts on the thing, and you go through a bracket. Now, on the mixture on the two-place, we make a little bracket extension to come up and catch this because that gives you some better adjustment on how you can position the thing. And there's a couple of other types of capture available. These are the most common. Cost-wise, the more we can buy, the better price we get on them. We have to buy a minimum order of 10 controls to even get a break from them. But we will negotiate out a deal. Now, the custom-made mixtures will be a little bit more. But right now, this mixture, vernier mixture, would list for just control by itself, say it's an STC or anything, or whatever we try to amortize, for $60-something. The one from AGAC that's the lawnmower control, like it's in there now, is $122. Throttle, Tiger throttle from AGAC, $380 some odd dollars. You're $100. Well, it is the old Grumman price. Of course, AGAC ain't getting any more made because they finally got some mixture controls made. But the Aaron's controls don't even want to discuss it with you. They're out of the airplane business for all practical purposes, unless it's a home build. But anyway, the throttles again are $60-something bucks. Just for what I got in my hand, $60 or $70. And so by the time we get done with an STC and bracketry and this, that, and the other, we're probably going to be looking at somewhere in and around $100 for a mixture or a throttle. But it's ridiculously cheap, you might say, compared to what you'd pay if you bought one that came out of AGAC. And also, I guarantee you that sucker is going to last. It'll be the last time you ever change one.
Okay. I had one from Elcor throttle, vernier throttle. The thing came off in my hand one day, fortunately while I was on the ground.
Just the center part?
Yeah, it was just
Was it a vernier?
Yeah.
Something let loose inside the mechanism.
Yeah, so I had to replace it at fantastic expense. This was in Phoenix. I was stuck with the old style. But is that? Do you know anything about theirs?
I've never seen a tear down or the way they're made inside.
Pull one thing apart, apparently a bearing or something that was replaced.
I can recall. Take the information back with them.
And I bought a mixture control vernier type from Chief here a while back. Broke my wrist. I thought I'd put it on there and make it work easier. And I got it. I took it down to A&P to put it on. It said it won't work on a Grumman tiger because of the bend or something. It's the regular standard one.
Is it an Alcor?
No, I think it's an Alcor.
Okay.
He wouldn't go on there. He said, "No, maybe you want this." I don't know.
What he's talking about is this area right here. Your standard mixture control has got a smaller deal similar to this on it.
I had to drill it out.
Well, yeah, you got to drill it out. You got to enlarge the hole in the panel.
Oh, that was...
But you've got to just about bend that sucker like that right out of there and get it down and run it out on a Tiger and Cheetah.
Then your
And
problem starts.
if anything other than these, if you could bend that thing 90 degrees, I don't think you'd feel friction.
What about the
I mean,
same price, actually? The other part costs almost the same as that.
yeah, but you're talking about installing it about like that, you can still move it.
It doesn't have nothing to do with the way the carburetor is or anything, huh? Mounted on the Tiger?
Well, on a stock Tiger installation, okay, you got to come up, over, and down to get to the mixture.
Yeah, it's different than the regular.
Now we've already done a field approval 337 on one Tiger, mixture and throttle with this. So, I mean, that was, that's precedent for our STC. But what was it, Lowell? We had, I think we had to reorder, get another mixture control.
And the throttle depends on the screws.
No.
On these,
I don't really have any problem.
Get prop controls
we
too.
ordered throttle and
Oh, I need
provisions on it. When do you expect you'll have that complete for a Cheetah?
I'd like to say sometime this summer, but with the other projects going on, it well may get into fall. One of the things is waiting on them to come up with their redesign on this. I haven't had time to go down and sit on this company. I have to go down and sit on this guy's desk and yell at him to get him to remember that he was supposed to have done this for me.
As soon as they come out, I want to let this know.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be about $200 then for a set.
Somewhere in there, like I say, when the one that's got this cut off is going to be more button. If you're changing the bolt, then you can use that. So it's probably going to be a little bit less, with the standard one. And yeah, I got to figure in the cost of the rod ends and all this type of stuff and everything. So I would say that 200 for both of them would be pretty optimistic. It's probably going to run closer to 3 by the time we get everything done, brackets and this type of stuff. And okay.
Well, you don't have those in stock now, that's what you're saying, right?
Right. I mean, I can get them. I can sell them to you. I can send them to you, and you can put them on as long as you take care of the FAA approval. That's Form 337.
John, you've already
on a
got
Tiger,
him. You don't have to worry about that.
we've already got an executed, stamped off, signed off 337 for both of us. So a guy, in most FSDOs, if you take a copy of that to them and say, look, this was approved in Seattle and everything, they'll rubber stamp it.
With the Alcor, all it said you had to do was make a logbook entry. That's all it ever did.
I would like to see their whole documentation on that,
That's
because
what
unless
the thing
they
said,
have
that's all I
an
ever did.
STC, unless they have an
Ask your
STC.
AI. Ask your AI what he...
No, I don't want to ask you too many questions. You get too many answers when you ask too many questions.
It's crawling all the time. The throttle keeps crawling all the time, hoping. You gotta lock it if you're coming in a file or...
Yeah, friction locks wore out for one.
Yeah, I know John Lawrence got the same problem.
Yeah, a lot of them.
They will keep crawling.
A lot of them do. This got the same type of friction lock here as ours, and you can still, there's a lot of friction here. You got to really honk that sucker down before it gets too awful tight.
Yeah.
But now, one of the problems you probably got is you got in your routing, it's in tension enough that it's wanting to move it naturally.
If it's too long, this is mounted up to the right amount of tension on the screw at the end where you put it, would that make it changing your carburetor setting a little bit too?
I'd have to look at it and play with it to,
Okay.
feel it.
Wait a minute now, it is the throttle, yeah.
It's the
you're
throttle that's creeping.
right. Yeah.
By the way, Lowell told me, he said he didn't come down here to work. I said, all we got to do is go down and look at the airplanes.
Well, I didn't ask him to work on it, I just, that's the problem, yeah. No.
We'll con him into it one way or the other.
Yeah,
No, if you-
probably figure out the problem with the throttle real easy too. I got an idea what that is.
Fine, thanks.
Okay, we're about there. Any other quick questions?
What's that other little gadget you got?
Oh, did I miss something?
It's a glass.
The runners for the canopy tracks?
Here in front.
That?
Oh, that was,
What's that? I thought I covered everything. Springs, oversized sleeves. I brought 2 battery boxes. I got 8 sets of these, 1 set spoke fork. And I got, I think, 4 of these if anybody's interested.
What about brake shoes?
Yeah, I brought some brakes.
Will those brake shoes work on a Yankee?
Yep.
One?
They work on all. One size fits all.
I didn't know.
Unless you got a cougar.
Ken,
Yep.
explain about the brake shoes. What's those for?
Okay, real quick. Cleveland or Parker Hannaford's part number 6630 is had it around. Brake lights, okay? EPA made them quit manufacturing them out of asbestos. Well, they came out with one for a while that was still asbestos. That was the 6655s that were about half bronze, the high metallics, and they worked good on the rusty brake discs. They would rip the chrome off the chrome disc. And then they came out with the 66105s, which are almost black, and they're a pure organic, non-asbestos type thing. They're okay. They're mostly resin. There's a very critical braking procedure on them. If you get them broke in right, they'll last probably as long as these. But they also cost almost $10 a piece. So we managed to get a hold of a bunch of the old, good kind, and set of 4, $21 or something. That's what we had in here. For a set of 4.
You're on if you got them.
Yeah. Like I say, I got them in room 2 is the store.
Of course, once you got chrome discs, it's grown for years.
Yeah.
They just don't wear off.
Oh, yeah.
The whole track is canopy, you made it?
Just haven't got back on that project yet. We will.
That would be a nice addition. These are probably wiggling the thing back.
Yeah, the thing of it is, you got different configurations. Well, the 4-plates are all the same, and then the AA1Cs and the 76-1Bs are different from all of the previous earls. So we got essentially 3 different configurations to make that work. So, okie doke.
Ken, is your STC on the Cheetah going to be with or without a gross weight change to the 180 horsepower that you're working on?
What are you going to do now?
What are you taking there? Oh. Well, I put some, you saw what I put on mine, or did you? But some of it's coming off and I haven't. Is that this will come straight up.
Yeah. Right side elevator trim. That's the left side.
Because it helps your carburetor.
ELT. $3 miles an hour, huh?
This is what Fletcher claims.
Huh.
Because it pressurizes your carburetor.
Yeah.
I've had it on there several years. it's gonna go back on, I don't know. So that's just what I have to find out.
Yeah.
Flap between the flap and aileron is just right at the magnet. It was used to belong to Dixon.
Split nose bowl. He doesn't have what, Arnold?
He hasn't got the extra tanks on this one.
Oh, the ox tanks? Dorsal fin modification.
Plug it in.
Yep. Nose wheel fork bearing. Looks like it's very worn. Split nose bowl. A tagger.
If we just hung some little louvers right here, we do that corner.
No.
I'll put a couple little louvers.
Okay, do you see Joe's 200 horse down
Yeah.
there? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we put those in. That,
I worked too hard on this one.
Okay.
You can have steak and lobster.
Can I really? Tonight?
You gotta pay for it later.
No, get out of here. I already told you guys I don't do that. She said I'm entitled to a meal, so that looked pretty good. I thought, well, that'd be a meal. I will ask her though.
Yeah.
Okie doke, I'll go do that.
There's where the barbecue is. Here's the cook. The offices. Big hill you gotta fly down between.
I don't know if you ever saw that set of FARs that somebody did up there. Civic flyer. Yeah. Pretty hilarious.
I'll race you!
No flight may be conducted.
Right off and get a win for the hobby shop.
You guys are absolutely having too damn much fun.
It has to be underwater too. Underwater.
They asked me, you know what, where the discount airport to come up with
Hey Stu, how come you're not in the pool?
Hey, because I'm gonna win.
How come you're not in the pool? Oh, okay. And the horses.
Tia!
And the runway down there. Horses. Here are huge pools on the side of a hill.
Past that hallowed age. So in honor of Cliff's the distinction of passing his 50th birthday and being the first one in our worldwide association to do it, I would like for you to join in singing an off-key rendition of Happy Birthday to Cliff. Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cliff. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, give him one.
You're all welcome to join in on a little piece of cake here whenever you're ready for dessert.
Looks like there's enough for everyone.
And we all get big pieces of cake.
We want you to party for
Radio Shack, a Tandy company. at him some more.
Huh?
Holler at him some more. No. Did you do that over again?
Come over here and do it for me. He bites.
Huh?
He bites.
He bites?
Yeah.
No, that's just like George.
Go on. Go on. Go on. Get back. Go on. There you go. No. Get over here. Get over there.
There's George.